In the royal palaces of ancient Egypt, beauty did not begin with gold. It began with the hunt. Long before Cleopatra wore a shimmering serpent skin dress in torchlit halls, craftsmen, hunters, and traders worked for months to create a single garment worthy of a queen. This is the story not of the throne, but of the hands that made royalty visible, hunting the serpent. The journey begins far from the palace. Along the warm banks of the Nile and in the dry scrublands beyond the farms, skilled hunters track large snakes known for their striking patterns. These are not casual hunts. Snakes are dangerous, fast, and sacred symbols. Killing one requires precision. Hunters move at dawn, when the air is cool and reptiles are slower. Using forked sticks and weighted nets, they pin the snake behind the head, avoiding damage to the skin. The goal is not meat, it is the scales. Once captured, the snake is killed carefully to prevent tearing or bruising the patterned surface. Even a small cut can ruin a valuable section of hide. The body is wrapped in linen and carried back, not to a market stall, but to specialist leather workers. Trade and selection. Not every skin comes from local hunts. Some arrive through trade caravans, exotic species with darker patterns, larger scales, or rare color variations. In workshops near Alexandria's royal district, overseers inspect each skin under sunlight. They look for even scale patterns, no tears or holes, flexible thickness, symmetry in markings. The most beautiful sections are reserved for the most visible parts of the garment: chest, shoulders, and outer sleeves. Nothing is wasted, but only perfection reaches the queen. Skinning with surgical precision. Now comes the most delicate step. Inside a shaded workshop, a leather worker lays the snake on a smooth stone table. With a thin bronze blade, they make a careful incision along the belly, the least visible area of the pattern. Slowly, patiently, the skin is peeled back by hand, separating it from muscle without pulling too hard. Assistants hold the body steady, while the master works around the head and tail. The goal is a single, unbroken tube of patterned skin. Once removed, it is turned inside out and rinsed in water to remove blood and tissue. Small wooden scrapers clean the inner surface. The scales must remain untouched. Too much force, and the natural shine is gone forever. Drying under the Egyptian sun, the fresh skin is stretched on a wooden frame, using cords tied through tiny edge holes. Pulled tight, it dries in warm air, but never in harsh, direct sun, which would make it brittle. As it dries, workers smooth it by hand, flattening wrinkles and aligning the scale rows. The skin shrinks slightly, tightening like parchment. At this stage, it is stiff, almost like thin wood. It must be transformed, oiling and softening the scales. To make the skin wearable, artisans begin a slow process of conditioning. Bowls of warm oil, made from castor plants, moringa seeds, or animal fat, are brought in. Using cloth pads, workers massage oil into the inner surface, again and again. The skin darkens slightly as it absorbs the treatment. Hands bend and flex it gently, working along its length to prevent cracking. This process can take days. The outer scales begin to gleam, reflecting light like polished stone. Now the material feels less like hide and more like living fabric. Cutting the royal pattern. A master garment maker now studies the cured skins. Instead of using one solid piece, they cut the material into panels, following the natural flow of scale patterns. Templates made of linen guide the shapes. Chest pieces are cut where the markings are most symmetrical. Narrow strips are trimmed for edging and decorative layering. Each cut is final. Mistakes cannot be hidden. The pieces are laid over a base garment of ultra-fine linen, light enough to breathe in Egyptian heat, stitching scales to linen. Using bone or bronze needles, seamstresses stitch the snakeskin onto the linen base with tiny, nearly invisible threads. They sew along the edges of scale rows, so the thread disappears into natural lines. The panels overlap slightly, like armor made of silk, allowing the dress to move without tearing. Gold thread may be added between sections, catching the light, framing the natural patterns. When the wearer walks, the scales shift subtly, producing a rippling effect, almost hypnotic. From animal to icon. What began as a silent hunt in the wild has become a second skin for a queen, touched by hunters, traders, leather workers, oil pressers, cutters, and royal seamstresses. The serpent's body is transformed into royal image. In Cleopatra's world, power was crafted by human hands. And through careful reconstruction, we can watch that transformation happen again, scale by scale,